Hello, I'm Crystal Eley, and this is The Only One. Today, I am joined by a very special guest. Her name is Meela Belle. She is a self-published author, mentor, and motivational speaker. Meela, thank you so much for joining
Yes, thank you for having me.
I know it's been a long time coming, trying to get schedules and all that,
Yes,
but we have arrived.
but we're here, right? We're here. We're here finally.
And the most important thing is that we are able to talk about your book, which
Yes,
I absolutely love reading every moment of it.
thank
How to Beat
you.
the Odds. So,
Thank
Meela,
you.
you know, thank you so much, one, for even writing this book. I think
Oh,
that you take us through this series of your personal triumphs and struggles, but also reminding us of the goodness of God and His
yes.
promises, which is amazing. And it also challenged me as a reader to think differently, right? You talk about the warrior mindset, if you will. So, but I love how in the book you first started by saying you're not necessarily a believer in the saying it's not how you start, how you finish. So why don't you fully agree with that saying?
I think a lot of times people say that, like, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, but how you start is the setup for how you finish. And I think a lot of people look at their start or their beginning, as I like to call it, as a disadvantage. When you've been through things, whether it's trauma, whether it's just growing up, not having as much as others, maybe, or growing up in a unusual family situation. A lot of times, people look at that start as I'm gonna just push this to the side. But as long as I finish strong, but like that's a part of you finishing strong because that adds to who you are more than it does take away. Because a lot of times we look at that start, that rough beginning as a takeaway, but it's really an additive. But again, it's all about perspective. So
Yeah, that's very interesting that you say that, because literally as I was reading that, I was like, that is so true. Because people always say like it's not about how you start, it's just how you finish.
how you
But
finish, yeah,
what you said was so profound. How you start does matter. It has a lot to do with who you become. It has a lot to do with your experiences and the maybe even the risk that you decide to take or not take. Right.
right.
Um, and so you also talk about how you grew up Franklin, Virginia, in a not so great neighborhood.
Mhm.
So can you talk about what that experience was like?
So it's crazy because whenever people ask, like, where are you from? I'm like, DMV is really it's just the best way to put it because it really is a DMV. So my youngest years, like I said, I think it's about 3 or 4. It was me, my brother, and my mom. We lived in, if anybody is familiar with Franklin and Dorchester, then they gonna already know. But I grew up in a neighborhood called Dorchester. It's in Franklin, Virginia. It's deep in Franklin, Virginia. And it just was a bad neighborhood. Like everything you could think of, like shootings, like drugs, like it was a rundown neighborhood all the way around. But it's crazy when you're a kid and you're in a situation where it's like that. You don't really notice. I still want to play outside with my brother and our neighborhood friends. I still ate. I still did all those things. So to me, it's like you don't know, like, hey, I'm in a bad situation. But growing up and thinking back to those times and things that we went through, and it's just like, wow, like that was actually really rough or really tough. But again, that's why I talk about how important your start is because that's my start. I didn't grow up um I don't want to say privileged, but I didn't grow up having like lots of money. I didn't grow up with like, okay, you're gonna have all these opportunities. Like, no, I had to go and get them. I had to go and create them. So yeah, living in Dorchester definitely and I didn't even know it. It's crazy. I didn't even realize this until I started my journey of writing the book, and I had even started a documentary, and I didn't realize how much that added to who I am now, just growing up like that. So yeah, it was rough, but it made me who I am. So I appreciate it. I appreciate having to go through that, having to grow up there. And a lot of my trauma started there because me and my brother, we did witness my mother's passing in that neighborhood in our home at the time. So it was a lot. It was a lot. So it's like, you appreciate the start, you have to acknowledge the start, but it's also like, wow, this was like super traumatic, and it adds to who you are as a person and who you're molded to be, and how, emotionally you express yourself, and all those different things.
Yeah, I want to stay there. So you mentioned at the age, I believe you were 4 years old, correct?
Mhm.
When you witnessed your mother's death. Um, how would you say that impacted you in your childhood?
So it's so interesting because I feel like this is something that I've never like sat down with a therapist or someone and said, this is actually how I felt about that. I've never talked about it with family growing up. It was more so just like, oh, we need to be there for her. We need to make sure she has the best life possible because she's missing her mom, she's missing her parents, she doesn't have her parents. So I've never really sat and thought about like, how did this impact me? And maybe because I was blessed and I was lucky to have my grandmother who took me in. Me and my brother were separated, but she took me in. She raised me to be the woman I am. Like, I don't even think, and it's crazy how, sorry, tearing up. It's crazy how like God will, you never really lose anything with God because he always has something there that's better. And I just have this feeling like, it's tragic and it's sad that my mother passed away, but in place of that, I was able to be raised by a true warrior. I don't know anybody stronger, sweeter, more selfless than my grandmother. So I just feel, and these are tears of joy because I'm so blessed and happy to, even though having grown up without my mom physically, spiritually, I feel like she's always been around. And everybody's like, "You are your mother. You are your mother." And it used to make me feel so good when I hear that growing up because it's like, sometimes it's like you just like your mother, you and your mouth, you and your attitude, but it's like I'm my mom's child and she's, I'm essentially a part of her. So it's like I know that I have a lot of her characteristics. I look just like her. I'm her twin, but I was also blessed enough to be raised by my grandma. So it impacted me in a way of being able to appreciate the life that I was given and like the life that I had. I would say maybe the biggest thing for me was always thinking like, what would my alternative have been if maybe we continued to stay in that neighborhood, or maybe if my mom had raised me, what would my alternative have been? So I think that's one thing that definitely has crossed my mind quite often. But overall, like I said, it just made me realize how blessed I really am when I think about it to have been raised, by my grandmother and my family. So yeah.
Thank you for that, Meela.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine that that is tough, right? Even now at your age, right?
Mhm.
To have experienced that and having to live a life, um, you know, missing that part, if you will.
Mhm.
But I know that, like you said, your mom is present,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
and seeing you shine, because that is exactly what you were doing.
Thank you.
Um, and you talk a lot about, your grandma in your book, and
Yes.
you actually started off with a quote that she said, which is like amazing. She said, "If God is in it,
You
then
gotta
you."
win it. Like, this is the best way to put it. Like,
Yeah. So, how do you feel your grandma has played a pivotal role in just helping you become the woman that you are today?
golly, how much time do you have? Because let me try to shorten it down. My grandmother is, it's like I've heard people say, I wouldn't be the woman I am without such and such, but I fully embody that. I would not, and the person that I am is not off my own strength. It's your foundation is important. The love that you grow with is important. And I was so blessed. Even to this day, I'm 23 years old. I talk to my grandma every single day. She is my very best friend. She supports me in everything that I do. Like, I could start selling spoons and she is gonna be there to support it and tell everybody that they need to get their spoons from me because she just loves like Christ. If anybody was like, what does Christ love feel like? What does it feel? What is it? What does it feel like to be loved by Jesus? I would say y'all gotta meet my grandma because that is, if I have no other way to explain it, that's the best way to explain it because that's how she loves me unconditionally. Even when I had my daughter at 15 in high school, of course that was rough, but she supported me. She stood by me. She didn't put me out on the street. She didn't wash her hands and say, "Hey, that's not my problem." But she not only took it on to continue to raise me to be the woman that I am, but to raise my daughter to be the
Mhm.
young woman that she's becoming. And that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? She took me in when I was 3, 4 years old. And then to do that again with my child is just like, you hear so many stories of, mothers and daughters and bad situations, especially when it comes to teen pregnancy and things like that. But my grandmother was, I mean, gosh, I couldn't really, it's hard to put into words, but she is the absolute reason that I am strong and that I know I'll never fail because, like she said, she's the one that gave me the foundation of keep God in the middle, keep God first, and everything else is going to be okay. And I'm just so thankful for her.
Yes, I love that. I love that so much.
Thank
There's
you.
no love like a grandma's love.
No.
They just have a certain way of just doing it right.
Yes, the
You have a
prayers, the
grandma.
prayers,
The prayers, okay?
they be different.
Yes. So as you mentioned, at 15, you had your first child, and in your book, I don't want to give anything away, right? I don't want to give anything away.
Right.
Y'all got to get a copy. That's all I'm gonna say. It's
Please, for
so
you, not even for me. Like, I just want you guys to read and like, oh my gosh, yeah.
yes, so good. We talk about having your first child at 15, and how you were surrounded, if you will, by negative thoughts and implications from other people. So how did you rise above that?
So it's interesting because it wasn't an instant thing, and I always think about the way I wrote it in the book, and I'm like, did I make it seem like it was just instant? But it wasn't an instant thing because honestly, I was only pregnant girl in my school for a while, and then another girl ended up getting pregnant, so it was the both of us. But being the first one out of everybody in the school, and it's like even my time being there, I'm like, I've never heard of this, like, so it was like, okay, I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I am in shock because like I watched this on TV. So like there's no way that could be me. Like it was a lot of negative feelings that I already had placed in myself. It was already a lot of negative thoughts that I thought about myself. So when people said the negative things that they said, it was easy for me to believe it. It was easy for me to feed into it for a while, for really the first few months of my daughter's life. And then I realized like, hold on. So if what they're saying is true, that what they're saying can't be true because I'm in honors classes right now. So that's already more than what someone said. I'm not even going to graduate, but I'm in honors classes right now. I'm gonna be on what they say welfare, or like you'll never be financial, you'll never have that financial freedom. But I'm working my own job. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm in school and taking care of my daughter. So that can't be true. I started to look at my life and the things that I was doing for myself and for my child, and I said, so whatever I'm thinking can't possibly be true. Whatever they're saying about me and the limitation they're putting on me can't be true because I'm already beating those limitations. I'm already surpassing those limitations. And once I took a look at my life and what I was doing, everyday things that I didn't even realize was important. Like I'm working and I'm in honors classes. I'm going to school. Like I looked at my life and I said, these have to be lies. There's no way that this is going to be my life because I'm already surpassing those limitations. And I focused my mindset on that. Girl, look at what you're doing. You work at 2 jobs. You taking care of your baby. Your baby's growing up good. You're doing this. You're saving. I started YouTube, and then my YouTube was a big thing for a while. So it's like I had to focus on my reality because negative thoughts are not a reality. Those are emotions. A lot of times, those are lies from the enemy in whatever way you want to, put that into reality. But I had to look at the truth. And even, getting into my own relationship with God that time is like, this is true. This is what God says, and this is what I was thinking, and this is what they said, but this is what God say. And this seems a lot more realistic. So I'm gonna go with God's word, and I'm gonna go with what my life is actually instead of what I'm thinking and what people are saying and thinking about me. So yeah.
That
That
leads
is
me,
my lenses.
yes, absolutely. That leads me so well into my next question regarding just in your book, you focus a lot on faith and mindset.
Mhm.
So why do you believe that those two facets of life are so important?
So I am a very faithful person. My faith drives everything that's happened to me up to this point is because of my faith. Not because I work hard, not because I'm lucky, but because I'm faithful and think I trust God that much. So God, I know you can do it. I know you're gonna do it. But it's important to have faith because faith will get you through when your emotions can't. Faith will get you through when you sometimes feel like you physically can't because you're believing, God, I don't know how in the world I cannot literally see how this would work out, but I'm gonna believe at least this much that you can get me out of it. And because I've seen it work in my life over and over again, when I'm like, God, sometimes it's just like I trust you. I don't even know, but that's all I got. And I've seen God come through for me and for my child over and over, for the people around me, even over and over and over again. Sometimes even me having faith for my friends when they haven't had faith and seeing God work off of my faith, that's different. That's like, God, hold on, hold on. But as it pertains to your mindset, I feel like the way that you think, it influences the strength of your faith. Because if you're always thinking negative, you're gonna be like, man, like I applied to 7 jobs, I didn't get them. Like, God, are you sure? Like, can you bring me a job? Whoa, you double doubting. Like, so if you control your thoughts, okay, God, I don't apply to 7 jobs, but I know all it takes is one yes from you. So I'm gonna believe that you can do it. Same situation, two very different thoughts. So if you're able to control the way that you think, it will influence the strength of your faith. And the more positive and intentional you are with your thoughts, the stronger your faith will be. Simply put. I would lay my life down for it. I'm telling you. So,
Wow. Chad, I think you might need to be a preacher. I think you done.
girl, hold on, hold on, not. Let me. I write, Lord, I write, but
No, but I'm joking. But I also loved how, in the book, with the minds that you would tell your story, right, and then you would nicely integrate this interaction, call to action, if you will, after each chapter. It's a 4-chapter book, and you made it interactive. So why was that important for you to make this reading experience as interactive as you made it?
because I feel like a lot of times you can read something and it'd be cool and it'd be great, but between your daily life, between social media, between everything you have going on, you forget. So like sometimes I when I try to read my Bible and I'm reading scripture and the end of a hectic day and then I think about it next morning, like I don't even remember what I read. I didn't write anything down. I didn't write no sticky notes, no nothing. So I felt like it was important to add those lines or the journal style insert because now that you've read it, I don't want you to just read my story and say, "Oh, her story's great, cool." I want you to read it and then put yourself in place of the things that I've said. See where can you relate? See where do you fit into what I said because there's people that buy the book and like, "Oh, she's cool." Like, I know I want to support her, but then they get to read it and like, "Hold on. I can actually relate to this." And it's much more profound when someone can put themselves where you are, and I believe that a story is important. But again, when someone can put themselves into your story, like, wow, I felt this before. I've been there before, and wow, she came out of it. Okay, let me write and see if maybe she's on to something. So I just leave that space, and it's more of an invitation. Like I want to invite people to go through this book and go through the journey with me. I really wish it was a way I could collect the books like the end of class and read and write back. Honestly, I really wish that I could, but yeah, and I have a book signing on Saturday, so that's the hope. Like I hope some people bring their books in that they've written and say, "Hey, can you read?" Like that's what I love about the book. Like it's not even about sales, it's not about fame. It's about the more people that read this story, the more people and the more of a chance I have to help. So when they write, I feel like it's a way for us to connect spiritually, even though I'm not there. So yeah, I that's probably my favorite part of the whole book. Like the fact that there's lines in there for people to write so that they can relate.
In talking about being relatable, I've actually never said this, I guess, publicly, but I had considered suicide before.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Wow.
um, and it wasn't until reading your book that I felt comfort, because you take us on that journey with you, and what that was like, and how you so eloquently said God orchestrated for people to be and meet you there at that bridge.
Mm.
And that was prompted by losing your job unexpectedly. You have a kid you have to take care of. And I know for me, sometimes life will throw curveballs and you just feel like you can't get through it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
even talk about, it's one of the chapters in your book, you get going through it and
yeah.
getting,
Going through and getting through. Yep. Yep.
and it's one of those things where when I was reading, I was like, it gave me hope. It gave me hope.
Wow.
So again, I know I started off by saying this, but thank you, girl. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Wow.
you.
That just wow. My heart. Wow. Wow.
So I
Honesty
say,
is wow.
absolutely. So I say, keep on sharing, your story, because it helps. It helps to know that where our stories are different,
Yeah.
um, struggle is still the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
God is still the same.
That's right. Yes.
Victory on the other side and getting through it is the same. So it's just one of those things where, man, I mean, you're young, but you have a lot of wisdom.
Thank you.
And I just so thankful for you sharing it.
Oh.
And I want to give you the floor to just ask you, what piece of advice do you have for a teenage mother in this going on that journey?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you for even sharing that with me because I just never take it lightly when someone feels safe enough to open up to me and to talk to me. I could mentor 1,000 people and they'll get the same emotional reaction because it's not easy to go through that, let alone to share. And I remember how nervous I was to share. First time I talked about that, about this, me having that suicidal traumatic experience was when I released the book because I was just so terrified. So I know how hard it is to go through that, especially if you did it alone and no one knows. So first of all, I'm glad that you're here. That is a major thing. And look at what you're doing and look at how God is using you. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm just have to say, God, thank you for allowing me to write the book to be able to help you and to help so many other people. So yes, I just have to give you that moment of love and appreciation to you. As far as advice, honestly, for teen moms, for anybody that's struggling in general, and this is about to sound so generic, but seek God for yourself because that's what I did. I don't have a secret recipe. I don't have okay, girl, wake up and do this. You have to seek God for yourself because that's the person that's going to be there for you when you are about to lose it, when you're like, I don't know what to do with this kid. My family's not helping, the other person's not helping me. God is the only one that's going to show up for you in a way that will change your life. And I just really encourage everybody to seek God for yourself. And I'm a big advocate for teaching people about God in a way that's relatable, in a way that will stick. And that's because I know how I learned. So even if you're watching this and you're like, man, I don't really know about God, like I will help you. I will teach you as much as I can because that's what's going to get you through. Um, and when you feel yourself in those tight spots, those negative spots, write down exactly what you're thinking. Because sometimes when you see a negative thought on paper, you realize how absurd it really is. You're not a good mom. You're not a good mom. You write that down and then think to myself, but I got up today and I pushed through. I went to work. I made sure that my child ate today. Believe it or not, that's being a good mom when you have to push through what you personally have going on just to get to work to make some money, just to feed your kid. You're a good mom. So when you have those thoughts or like, you're inadequate or you're never gonna whatever it is, I want you to write them down so you can see how crazy they look on paper because that is not you. It's a thought, and you can then write a positive thought next to it and a positive thought under it. So when you're in those tight spots, write those negative thoughts out, get them out, so you can see how crazy they are. You can say, "Oh, this is crazy," and seek God for yourself. Um, Find Him, ask Him, Lord, hey, it's me. I know we ain't talked before, but if you could show up, that'd be great. Seek Him for yourself, and He will show up for you. I'm willing to bet my life on it. He will show up for you. So, if I had any advice, that's what I got.
I love it. Listen, y'all got to get How to Beat the Odds by my girl, Meela Belle. Okay, period. We have the tops and the books.
Yes.
So we're locked in. Meela, where can people get them a copy of How
So
to
they can get this on Amazon. That's the main source, the easiest one, because we all love Amazon, right? So you can get this on Amazon. It's also available on barnesandnoble.com for anybody that's a real book reader. It's on barnesandnoble.com. So barnesandnoble.com, Amazon, that's probably the easiest one. And then if you just have any trouble, or you're like, it's only $10. But if you like, I really need one, but I just don't have it, message me, DM me. I will make sure you get a copy. And if you're local to the 757, or if you just happen to be passing through, Saturday at 12 p.m., I will be at the Slover Library in Norfolk. I'm not sure when this will go up, so May 4th. If it's after, hey, no worries. But if it's before, awesome. You can get a copy there. You can get it signed. We can meet. We can talk. We can chat. We can hug. So those are a few different ways that they can find it. And like I said, if you need help, I got you.
Awesome. And Meela, thank you so much for
Yes,
your
thank you.
time, and thank you for your sharing your story that is
Yes,
impactful and making a difference. I appreciate you for that.
thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. This is awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.